Everybody, Lawrence here at 30 Basic Terrain coming at you with another one. Episode 50. Who thought 50 videos for some little monkey in his basement? But anyway, let's get to it. This is going to be the last, for now, in the series of the Mighty Fortress videos. I actually got the thing painted, and I'll tell you what, I am really happy with it. It's going to look great on the tabletop, and I can't wait to get it on there. This, again, this was one of those dream wish list pieces that I thought always really, really wanted, but thought I'd never get because the thing was out in 1988, and I'm sorry, but I wasn't willing to pay the $200 to $300 that the sets go for on eBay. But I cannot thank Mia Geek enough for gifting me this. I mean, wow, it was just amazing to have, and it's amazing to have this in my collection. I cannot thank her enough. So thank you, thank you, thank you. But it's done, at least for now. I may build some additional pieces in the future, but this is the Mighty Fortress from Citadel Miniatures from 1988. Fully painted, all the doors and the gate redone, and the trapdoors put in. Didn't make the ladders because kind of because they have stairways and ways to get up to the top. So I know the ladders are for the bad guys, but not worried about that. This is a highly versatile set, and if you ever have the chance to get one or something similar, get it. It's a very useful modular piece. I know they did come out with a plastic set later on they called the Warhammer Fortress, and that's more commonly seen, but this is not seen as often because it's made out of foam, and a lot of them got destroyed, so you can still get them, but for $200 to $300, ouch. But again, thank you, Mia. This was such an amazing thing to get. Past rule videos would not have happened without you, so thank you. Thank you. Before we get to it, guys, the painting of this beast of a set, I wanted to give a shout out to my patrons, Dungeon Matron and Quarel. You guys' help is greatly appreciated, and I cannot express my thanks to you guys, so thank you. All right, let's get to it.
Hey, remember all those doors I made in a previous video? Well, no, it's time to actually start putting some color on them. First, just gonna go on all the foam parts of it, a nice coat of black Mod Podge. Just to give it a nice black base undercoat and give it a little bit of durability, because, it's foam. And of course, gotta give the whole castle some coating of black Mod Podge. As much as I love this piece, it's still made out of foam, and it's gonna need a little extra something to give it a little bit of extra protection, and that's what the Mod Podge is for. Now these tower parts I wanted to pull apart and then black out the arrow slit windows, just so in case you wouldn't be able to see the white foam from the outside. And I'm only really just basically painting where the arrow slits are. I may just smear a little bit extra around the inside, but my main goal is just to keep the white from showing. Okay, now that I got everything Mod Podge, it's time to actually start painting. Now, I'm going to do all the doors and the castle gates first, and I'm just going to give all the wooden parts a base coat here of some apple barrel burnt umber that I watered down a bit. Now I've gotten all the wood parts base coated and it's dried. I'm watering down this nutmeg brown from Apple Barrel. It's a good mid-tone brown, just to give it an overbrush. This isn't a dry brush or a heavy dry brush. This is an actual overbrush. And I'm just leaving all the deepest recesses and some of the grains that I had put into the door alone. And of course, got to get the trapdoors too. And what I don't show is I'm doing the same thing to all the castle gates. And of course now I'm going to do a light dry brush. I'm doing a dry brush with light mocha from Apple Barrel. This is just basically a highlight color, or just to bring out the edges and highlight the doors. And of course, grab the little trapdoors, and then I'll also go and get all the castle gates. The reason I'm not showing the castle gates is because, well, they're a little bit difficult to get into, and this is just easier to. Now that all the wood parts are done, I'm going to paint the metallic parts on the trapdoors and the doors here with Folk Art Metallic Antique Copper. It's my go-to color for the binding bands, or whatever they're called. Now here I'm going to be using some gunmetal gray and sequin black, and I'm going to mix it roughly 50-50 to darken the gunmetal gray up. And I'm going to be painting up all the metal banding on the gates, because I want to start off with like a dark metallic color. And of course here, I'm just going to be using some straight gunmetal gray and giving it a light overbrush onto all the metallic parts in the cask, just to give it a highlight of a bit. Okay, now let's actually get some paint onto all this stonework. Anything that's stone, I'm giving a base coat gray with a dark blue gray from Apple Barrel. I like to use this color because the blue gives a little bit of a nice undertone that I like than just a straight up dark gray. That blue tint, for me personally, it just makes it pop a little bit, and I like it, so that's what I'm going to do. If you've watched any of my videos before, you've seen me do this plenty of times, where pick out individual bricks or stones and paint them a different color, just to give it a little bit of variety, so it's not one solid gray. And to me, that is a little bit boring, so I do this just to give it a little visual interest. And this, I'm using Rookwood Red. I use a couple other colors too. For this, it's not much of a rule, but kind of try and go for natural colors. It just will just give it a visual interest. And here I'm using one of those sponge brushes. Thank you for sending those, Dungeon Matron. And just splotching on some colors onto the flat areas that don't have any texture like the sides do. And this will just, again, give us a little bit of visual interest and not just one solid blah gray. And here I'm just watering down some pewter gray from Apple Barrel and giving all the stonework an overbrush. And you can see that I had used multiple colors for the individual stones. But again, just going for I just want to leave the deepest recesses alone, but I will get a little bit inside the doors and to it. The whole thing is going to get this. And here I'm using Apple Barrel's Granite Gray, and all the stonework is going to get a quick dry brush, just a highlight dry brush, making sure to get all the edges and whatnot. And I'm trying to give an even light dry brush onto the flat areas as well. And here I've switched over to a smaller brush to get up and close to the castle gates because they're already attached. And I'm trying to be careful not to get the dry brush paint onto the metal or the door itself. And here I'm grabbing my homemade dark brown wash, and I'm just gonna slap it on everything. Why do I use brown? I like using the brown more than what a lot of people do use black. It just gives the stone a dirtier, dingier, and, well, quite frankly, a more natural look, and that's what I want. So I'm going with brown. Again, it's just kind of like brushing on and dabbing. I'm going over the entire thing. Well, all the stone areas that I've painted. And of course, I'm going to give all the doors a wash. Just, well, because. These are really quick and easy to do. It's just blah, 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 slap, slap, slap. Done. Put it off to the side. Hopefully it dries soon. Yeah, right. Okay, here I made a mixture of a 50-50 mix of the light mocha and the granite gray because I wanted to go with a grayish brown for the final highlight on all the wood, or just to give a little more of an aged look. So I figured, well, that'll work, and fingers crossed. I was hoping it did, and actually it wound up doing it. And again, this is after the wash is dried, and I'm just doing a quick highlight dry brush to make all the grain and texture of the doors pop. And of course, now I'm using granite gray again. I want to give a final highlight dry brush to all the stonework pieces. Now, when I get to the sides, like of the walls and the towers, brushing from the top down to make it look like it's highlighted from above, where the sun would hit it. So even though it doesn't look like it, when I actually touch the sides of the walls and stuff, it's actually only touching the walls when I'm going from top down, in one angle or another. And of course, I'm using a dark grayish brown homemade pigment powder, and I'm just getting into where there might be extra shadows or dirt would collect, and I'm just trying to make it look like the castle's been there for a while. Maintained, but old. I want to put, like, underneath where the stone hangs over the walls, at the bottom of the walls where dirt may have splashed up from rainstorms or whatnot. Anywhere that it looks like dirt would collect, and also enhances the shadows a bit. And of course, when I'm done placing all the pigment powder where I want it, I would grab my little mist bottle of isopropyl alcohol and just mist the thing down to lock all that powder in place. If you don't lock it in place, it will eventually rub off and you won't get the effect that you wanted. Now, will spraying it with something to lock it in place lower the dusty look to it? Yeah. But it'll still be there. And to counteract that, all you really have to do is make it a little bit heavier when you initially put it on. And if you do lock it in place, it's going to last. It's not just going to rub off just from lightly touching it. Now I'm actually going to start adding some door handles to all these doors. I'm just using a small drill bit in my pin vise, and you've already seen me make the door handles in a previous video. And as far as attaching the doors, I lost the footage for that, but all I did was just place a little bit of glue on the inside of where the door goes, then put it in place. Pretty simple. Now you saw me take the door handle, dip it in a little bit of that wood glue, and then place it into the hole. And now I have a door handle. Now I'm going to do that to every single door that actually gets a handle. Now the doors on the bottom of this towers won't get one because the door handles stick out a little bit, and I need that bottom part to sit flush up against the wall. So I just didn't put the handles on because it's stuck out. I couldn't get it to go in far enough. And hey, we got door handles on the walls. And now for the final step. For the wall pieces on the inside, I'm going to add a little bit of moss paste and sparingly in a few places. I'm just brushing it on with a brush. I like using a brush versus anything else because for me it gives me a little more control on where it goes. But again, it's just a matter of brushing it on in certain places and kind of dabbing it so it kind of like has points and knots and stuff. And then I'm going to use some fine turf yellow to give it a little bit of highlight before it dries. And there it is in all its glory. And to give you an idea of its actual size, that's a full sheet of foam core that it's sitting on. This piece is pretty big, but oh man, it was fun to do. It really, really was. And as you can see, you can make a smaller set too just by cutting out some of the normal wall sections. I really enjoyed doing this, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Again, this is an awesome set that has a lot of potential and modularity to it.
Everybody, if you watch this far, it means you watch to the end. And as always, I can't appreciate it much. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more, click subscribe. I am putting out more. Here's the next 50. Let's hit 100 videos. This is an awesome set. I can't sing the praises enough of it. I mean, yeah, it has some issues, but for the time that it was put out, and like I said, in the 80s, when Games Workshop Citadel Miniatures was still a relatively young, an incredibly young company, this thing was just amazing to have on the table. And I am glad I have one to put on my table now. I'm going to have fun with this because it is so useful. And there's so many different things you can do with this that I'm blown away to have it. So again, thank you, Mia. This was greatly appreciated. Remember, guys, whatever you're doing, making your terrain or painting terrain, the only person you got to worry about is you, because it's your terrain.